doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images before the stream and I edit them here for you live. Uh, Gosh, Ellie is barking like crazy. I'm sorry. Uh, so we'll get started in just a minute. Let me bring her in so I don't get distracted by her barking. Ellie, come here. Good girl. Good. Here, give you a treat. There you go. Sorry about that. Let me know that the audio and video is good as well, that everybody can see and hear me okay. And then I'll get started when I get confirmation there. I know, Paul, with all the watches. I know. Actually, my watch is 5 minutes, about 5 minutes here. I don't know what, I didn't set it right during the daylight savings last week, I guess. So I've been late to everything. Okay, there, now it's right. Because I kept looking at my watch. I saw I got like 20 minutes to go. And then, anyhow, I'm prepping for a job. Everything's working fine. Okay, good. So let's just get right into the business, as Peter Forsgaard would say. And Peter's been rocking it with his photography videos. I really enjoy his channel, as all of my peers. I enjoy everything. Okay. So we have a forest here from Stefan Sheridan. Canon R7. Oh, with the 18-150. Okay. Yeah, I know some people in our photo club have that combination. Very nice. I was looking at one this weekend. Let's see. So we have a really high dynamic range scene, meaning there's some black shadows. So I'm just going to check some of the clipping here. It's not bad. Just a little bit down here in the corner. And a little bit of clipping here. So I'm just going to click the smart lighting and see if that helps a little bit. It did help a little in the shadows. And the highlights aren't quite clipped because it's just yellow. If it was red, I think it would be completely gone. Okay. So I'm not sure about this rock. And yeah, I think I'll get rid of this whole left corner. Because I'm not creating, well, you know, the highlight here is not a big deal, but I might actually I want to kind of use that too. So let me just crop in a little bit tighter. I'm not sure. Because now the balance is a little bit off. Maybe a little bit tighter, like 4:3. No, the original was fine. So I don't want to lose the trunk of that tree. All right, let's go with this crop. Like I said, this rock bothers me a little bit, but I want to get the light to come in and hit this right side a little harder. So I'm going to just do a little touch up here and here. And here. All right, and then let's warm up. I don't know if I should warm those up a little. Maybe a tiny bit. Needs a little more contrast. Just a little bit of warmth. Okay. All right, I think that's good. Let me just see where I'm at. Okay. And then let's see if I can maybe just add a little bit to the rocks too. Put it on this tree. And I'm going to cool off this side a little bit. Okay. It's a bit too much right in there. All right. I don't think I'll be able to recover this very much up here without... No, that's not bad. Okay. Maybe warm it up a bit. All right. Just kind of brainstorming a bit here. Bring this down. Go back to this side. Just push it. Push it a tiny bit there. Just accentuate it on that. All right, let me see how I'm doing here. Okay. This... Did I warm this up too much? Yeah, that's too much. Just give it a little bit. All right, let's do a global shift on the white balance. Just a little bit down. Maybe up. Yeah, a little bit up on the reds. Maybe a slight more shift on the yellows. And then go over here to a global. I feel like I need... No, try this. A little bit there. Just a little more contrast in the shadows. There we go. Well, a lot more, I guess. I'm cranking the slider all the way up. I'll back it off a little bit. And then we'll soften the image this way. A slight touch this way. Okay. think I'll call it there. I'm just debating about this corner. Maybe let's do a clone. 100% feather. Maybe just, let me see what it looks like if I can just block that a little bit. Okay. And add a little bit more here. Maybe a new one, just to give it a little bit more push. All right, I'm gonna call it there. So, we'll do a side by side. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better, a little bit warmer. This felt very cold and kind of, the contrast was too high. So I just had to reduce the contrast and warm it up a bit. And then just do a little bit of spot uh, on the shadows. A little bit too much here, maybe. I could probably do a little more contrast in here. That would look good. Actually, let me maybe do just a spot of contrast here. Tighten up the Luma mask. It's very, very subtle, I guess, what I'm doing. Maybe- Nah, okay. This might be hard to see in the stream, but I just felt like it just needed a little bit more. About like that. All right, that feels better. So there's the before and after. So just a slight crop. This was a little bit distracting because your eye tends to go all the way up there. So I just brushed it out with or cloned it. This is a little bit strong. It's okay. I think just a little bit of extra contrast and we're good to go. And then I use micro contrast and fine contrast to kind of soften the image a little bit so it didn't have so much bite when you look at it. All right, very good. Thank you so much for sending that in. That's a beautiful forest image, I think. All right, we have one here from Garrett. And let's see, we have a Canon R50 with the kit, 18 to 45. All right. Hey, I keep telling people in my streams, my regular Sunday chats about how great these Canons are, the APS-C ones. I mean, all of them are really good cameras, but, at the price point, the Canon is, I need to do some perspective correction first. Let's just click the auto. I don't know if I'm really getting a straight line here. It's a little bit off here. Okay, that line is fairly straight. Yeah, it's a little bit off, so there. I think that's all I need to do. See how this side came out. Yeah, good. Now, let's do a -3. All right. All right, that looks good. Let's try an auto lighting. Okay, not bad. And I think I'll go to local from here and let's just start with the sky. And I'm going to increase the chroma mask. It's a little bit too much bleeding onto the house, so I may do this. Let me do this with a brush. So I just want to do the sky. It's not as nice as this sky, select sky in Adobe, but you can kind of see how we did here. Okay, I dropped the exposure down so I can see if we missed anything. And we just need to just get in a little bit tighter. All right, that's good. So what I'm going to do, a little micro contrast and some clear view. Maybe push the highlights a bit. Oops, not quite that much. Okay, there we have nice, powerful gray skies. Thinking I could try to warm this up a bit, but I don't know if that would make sense. Let me tighten up that mask a bit. If I go the other way, no, that's terrible. Let's go a little bit warm. Tighten that up a bit. Okay, not that one. Just the very high highlights. About down here. A little bit smaller. A little more over. A little bit in here. Okay. That's too strong. So this and okay. All right, let's give the windows a little bit of a push. We'll just use a brush. No, yeah, regular brush. Okay, I'll do those separately. Just want those to stand out a bit more. Okay. It's looking good. Let's do a little bit off here and here. Okay, let's make a new brush. Maybe, a control point might be better for this side. And the door. All right. Okay. Curious why this has no windows on this side. Maybe for efficiency purposes. Okay. And just a little bit more painting in here. And here. And here. Just cool it off a bit. No. Okay, this one control point needs to be smaller. Yeah, soft fun, it may be for animals, but this barn door is a little bit too small, right? It doesn't, this does not imply like an animal type entry. I would expect it to be bigger if it was actually for animals. And not to be so well sealed, but I don't know. Could be an addition that they added, like maybe there was a fireplace on this side at one time and they got rid of it. That could be it. Doesn't look like there ever was, but maybe. Okay, let me see if I can just do a global push on the shadows. And a tiny bit of clear view, a little bit of micro contrast. Or a little less? No, let's give it a tad more. Okay, let's see where I'm at. Okay. What I want to do is just give this tree a bit more warmth on this side. It's a little bit too strong. Just give it a little bit more in here. This one should be small. Nah, let's get rid of that one. Okay. Let's do a smaller brush. And I got this brush. Opacity feathering. Let's cut this down just a bit. All right, I'm gonna call it there. Yeah. So I think I made the skies a little bit too warm, but that's easy enough to fix. This one, right? Come on. Let's just go up a tiny bit. Okay. That works for me. So really, it just needs to be lit up a little bit, right? And I always like to emphasize the doors and windows whenever we have a structure. I need to clean it up a tiny bit here and there. Uh, like if I was delivering this to a client, that would be what I would do. Um, but yeah, I would probably clean up just a little bit along the edges. I was a little bit fast. I'm editing these as fast as I can today because I do have a photo job I need to go to today. Composition wise, it's already a very tight crop. It just needed a little bit of perspective correction, which is also, whenever I do architecture, I'm also very critical. Uh, I try to make sure that the lines are straight and, if at all possible, right? And if it makes sense. In an image like this, where the structure is only a couple of stories, in this case, looks like it's 3 stories. I always try to make sure the lines are straight. Really tall buildings and things, it looks unnatural when you try to get perspectives correct. So I always leave a little bit of perspective distortion in very tall buildings, but short ones like this, 3 stories, I'd even go as many as 4 or 5 stories. I try to correct the perspective. More than that, it starts to look odd. Okay, or unnatural. All right, very nice image. It just need a little warmth and a little brightness. Not sure why this feels a little underexposed, and it doesn't look like you dialed in any exposure comps. So, yeah, you know what it is. This is like snow, right? Snow is all about Uh, whenever you expose for snow, for example, you add a little bit of exposure comp. So because a lot of this building is white, I would have dialed in like a +1 exposure comp because the camera underexposed for this scene just a little bit on its own, it looks like. Oh, and you did spot metering. So you probably hit this spot or because this is really sort of middle gray. If you look at the RGB values up here, we're like in the 130s, 140s. And really, a white building, you want to be a little bit higher, closer to 200 if possible. That's in the shade. But like if we go over here, see we're at about 194. You want to get closer to 200 for white things in the scene. And then uh, midtones like in the 130s. and then shadows, below 100, right? Depending on what it is. So uh, just a little bit of insight on how I look at exposure in an editing software. Because a lot of times when you're editing, if your screen's not calibrated, yada yada, you can look at it because you know how it is. Your eyes get used to looking at something. Your eyes get used to looking at something, and that's why they tell you to walk away and come back sometimes when you're doing some heavy editing. But this is a way to kind of gauge it in a digital way, right? In terms of RGB values. So anyhow, let's go to the next one, and we have Halloween scene, a GX8. Okay, we have a JPEG, so we need to, again, the lines are not straight, so let me just do uh, just a global here. Well, so let me see if I can come in a little bit more to the right. Okay. Now, being a JPEG, I'm not going to have a lot of wiggle room, so I'm going to pull it down, and then I can pull it back up, hopefully, to uh, where it was. So JPEGs, you can't push too far to the left or right with respect to exposure. You can push to the left, actually, make it dark as you want, but you're going to lose color and details overall, or specifically color, because there's no dynamic range in this scene, either in color or in luminance with JPEGs. So typically, it's okay to pull the exposure down, and then you can sort of locally bring things back up to where they were in the exact opposite direction, and yet still have a relatively clean image, even though it's a JPEG. But let me come back to that one. I want to cool this off. Oh, I can't do too much. Yeah, I don't have the range in the color because of the JPEG. So what I might have to do, all right, let's come back to, I'll tighten up the Luma mask. Having a problem with this one. I might have to Let's see where I'm at. I just go black and white because the colors, the black and white, oh. All right. Let's do a new control point. I don't know if I'm making this worse. The other thing with JPEGs, I try to use just the exposure slider rather than highlights and shadows and midtones to bring everything up in a linear way. Again, because there's just not a lot of wiggle room. Maybe that's too much. Oops. I meant to grab this one. This is a really cool Halloween scene, by the way. That needs its own. Okay. We're almost there. Let's just try and make it a little bit gritty. All right, I think I'll go with that. It's a little bit off balance for me, but this one needs a little bit more bounce. something wrong with the contrast. I like these little specks. All right, I'm going to call it there. All right, so uh, so here's the color. So I wanted to make it darker, and the colors just, yeah, the colors are a little bit faded and don't work for me. I like the red in the glass here, but uh, oh, yeah, I just had. Okay, that's one variation. Let me do one other one where let's do color. But what we're going to do is desaturate it and maybe put the reds back in which case I need to bring them up this way. And then a little bit of red spilled into here. So we'll take the red out and a little bit here. There we go. So that's another kind of way to maybe keep some of the color. I think that looks pretty cool. So there's the before, and that's the after. I think that looks pretty good. And I see an Intrigue just became a member. Hey, great. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, Intrigue. I really appreciate it. And again, it was nice meeting you finally last weekend. I don't know if you're going to go to National Harbor tomorrow. I set that up, a photo walk, so we can do the Christmas tree. I know it's already Christmas, right? And the fireworks. So, all right, let's go to the next one. And oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. And thank you, Garrett. We have one here from Paul. Wow, this is really nice. Let me see what I can do here. I think the idea was just to frame this one little mountain, but then we captured all of this, which I don't think is, not sure if this is adding to the scene. So I think I'm going to focus on just this left side. and maybe go this way. And come in tighter. Okay. I think that works. And again, this is a JPEG, so I'm going to have very limited flexibility here with light painting and things that I love to do. But let me see if I can push. Well, let's see what auto lighting does. Okay, that's not bad. And I'm going to just desaturate the blues. Let me stretch this out a bit. Just a bit too strong. And the sky, see if we can bring a little bit in. A little bit of drama there. And I need to desaturate a tiny bit. Okay. See if there's any hope of bringing these back a little bit. Okay. That surprised me a little. I thought those were clipped, but we're good. And then we'll do a little bit here in the water. Come on, I need a new one. Try that again. And the blues are just a little bit overwhelming in here. Wonder if I can shift them at all. Not really. Just leave it. But I don't think I can really get the look that I want. No, make it a little bit warmer. Then just a little bit of shadow recovery here. Okay. Okay, I think that's it. So what if I do? It's hard to look at it that way for me. So, all right, so here's the original image. And, right away, I think this was the intent of the image, right? So I just cropped it in a way so that this side balances with the left side. So it doesn't feel too, it's still a little bit, the balance is still a little bit off. I think a little tighter crop might fix that for me. Let me see. I come in a little bit more on this side. Yeah, that works better, I think. Still not crazy about this little bit of tree hanging out, but I don't want to crop any tighter. Okay, so yeah, that's my edit. So there's there's uh there's the original and there's the edit. I think that's better. See there's basically a huge crop on this image. I think that was the intent, was to focus right on this little framing within a frame. Okay, Paul, it looks good. And then those are mine. All right, let's go here. Thank you, Paul, for sending that in. And let's see, we have some trains. I like this architecture. And this is the Z8 with 24 by John Follows. I'm thinking this blue, I like the yellow and blue that go with the yellow on the train. This building and this train are sort of tied together really nicely with this sign. Then you have a person here, but then you got sort of these reds and browns over here that just throw everything off for me. At least the way this is composed, right? It would have been nice to move all the way over to the right and just get these two things in the frame with some compression. And then top of this is cut off too. That doesn't help. So let's see. And then this bus. All right, I'm just trying to think of how to crop in on this image. I want to get rid of this and this bus. I don't know if I need to keep the front of this train or not. But at least the lines are perfectly straight from here anyway. They diverge slightly over here, but that we're going to crop that out anyway. Maybe I can crop, let me think. Do I need the edge of that building? Not really. I think I can go right to there. I'm looking at the left side right now. The right side is this thing. I think because we cropped the top of that building off, I need to crop off the top of this building. And then, but now I'm losing this building. I think here. Hmm. No. I don't need that building at all. This red by itself is okay. I think think that's the crop I'm gonna go with. And then maybe, let me see what this does. Yeah, that doesn't help. But I do need to, I need to think about the foreground here. Need a little bit more room this way. This way. Okay. I'm gonna go with that. And then I wanna really punch the yellows just a little bit here. And some of this blue. And I'm gonna go, this is a little risky. Let me see what the white balance does. Okay. All right. Yeah, that helps a little bit. And these reds, more orange, aren't they? If I shift them a little bit red. And then let's fix the windows on the subway or train. Make these smaller. Okay, good. And put the windows on this building. Okay, let me think about the windows over here. Because these are not the subject. So I should probably actually desaturate a little bit back here. And let me do that. I want to, yeah. Let's desaturate a little bit of this orange-red color. So I'll tighten up the chroma mask. And just pull back. Something like that. Oops. Let's add a new one. I want these blues. Okay, we're almost there. And we'll just exaggerate this person a little bit. Maybe add a little bit more light down here. Smart. Back to the a little bit too strong. Okay. I think I'll call it there. Wow, the blues. These blues are a little bit too strong. And then just a couple of touches on the lights. Oh, Paul says that image was for critique. Okay. I'll look at it one more time real quick, but let me finish. Actually, that's a light. That should be a light. I don't see any other lights in here. Maybe a little bit in front. All right. Let's do a side by side. So it was really this building here was just putting too much weight for me on the right side of this picture. It's just too heavy. And it was just this brown color that didn't really match anything else in the scene. This bus, although it kind of matches, it just doesn't belong in this composition at this point. Because another interesting competition, I was thinking about doing like a wide, right? But then I just didn't like this building. So, and I wanted to emphasize the blues and yellows in the scene, and then de-emphasize sort of these reds a little bit. And this little splash of green in this person here, kind of just, I think, a nice way to frame it. But okay, I think that looks better. It's really kind of a minor edit, but a major cropping. Uh, and this is really more along my style, where I'm cropping in tight to fill the frame with as much of the subject as possible. You know, in this case, you know, the train in this building, and this became a distraction to me. Okay, let's go to the next one. Thank you, John. And again, any comments I'm making are purely subjective and just, you know, just my opinion, right? How I would have framed it differently. And I only think out loud just to give you my thought process and how I look at things. All right, so we have a spider web here from Sam. Z7 II. Man, I've been looking at that camera myself. So I think with spider webs, I like to get in. It looks like you're already as close as you can get at 200 millimeters. But the nice thing is, with 47 megapixels, you can crop in quite a bit. So I'm going to keep a little bit of the grass. I'm going to crop there. Let me see. Let's pull in. See if we can separate the spider web a little bit. Yeah, none of this. I want to bring in. Just want to de-emphasize the background a little bit. And let's emphasize some of the red flowers, or I'm sorry, these leaves. They almost look like flowers, don't they? Bring that in and push the midtones and soften them a bit. Some idea right now is just to soften kind of everything around it, but leave the contrast on the spider web itself. Let's bring these in a little bit tighter. Okay. I don't know if I can bring in. Let me see what I'm doing. Maybe. Okay. It's a little bit warmer. Okay, I think that's all I need to do. Or that's all I would do. I mean, I really like the softness over here of the greens. Ah, but I had to kind of, let me see what I did over here. All in the toning that I did. I think this is better. I don't like the toning that I did on it. So I just need to just bring this in a touch. Oops, let me reset these. I just need to pull this in a little bit. Push this more. I think that's what I'll do. So, but like I said, what I wanted to do is just kind of soften everything around the spider web and then accentuate the spider web itself. So I push the highlights to pull these in. And then to make this softer, I just locally adjusted the contrast basically. And then warmed up the image a little bit because it's a little bit cool over here. But I think that looks better. Uh, so there's the before and there's the after. It's very, very subtle, but it's just a little bit warmer. Okay, very good. And this one was sent in, I forget the name, but they tried to upload this and I didn't get it last week. So finally it's here. This beautiful image of the fog. I love this over here, a little bit of foreground. I love these trees. Wow, this is a really beautiful location. I don't know what I would do here. I mean, there's kind of a warm glow of light coming in from behind the camera and hitting these rocks and trees, but it's not really getting over here because it's a mostly cloudy day. It's a nice light hitting up in here. I really like this side a lot. This side is pretty too, but it's not balanced, I don't think, too well with, I don't know. Let me look at a wide crop and come all the way down here. Maybe. Maybe right in here. Let's see. See, I don't think I need anything up here. Is that? Yeah, that looks terrible there. I think it's just right in here that looks good. So let's balance this best I can. If I put the horizon right in the center, does that work? Kind of like this rock though. So let's do a 16 by 9. Okay, I think that works. All right, just a little bit of light painting from here. Let me see what the auto lighting thinks. Yeah, it doesn't think much. So I want to emphasize some of the lighting over here. Just make it a tiny bit warmer. And then let's bring in the sky a little bit. Some contrast. A slight push. And a little bit of warmth. Okay. Yeah, right in there. And then something going up this way. Just a touch of light in on the trees in here. Like this, like this. Just a touch of warmth. And this needs a little bit of contrast. A little bit of pull here. So, okay, I think that's about 90% of what I would do. I'd like a little bit more because this is a little bit too soft. All right, so I'm missing a little bit of the greens in here. So let me go back to my tools here. Let's make these smaller. I'll put this one here. Okay. Then there's some nice greens in here that I like. Maybe. See, that might be, yeah, that's a bit too much. There we go. Just a little more contrast on it. Slight push more. Okay, it's a very subtle difference, I think, but so here's the original on the left and my edit on the right. I still have mixed feelings about this crop. Because typically on a landscape where it feels like you're standing right on the ground, I prefer a vertical crop. But then we'd be missing out on all of the action over here on the left with the fog. So I get it. I guess we're trying to frame this area here with the rocks and these branches. So I'm trying to lean into that as much as I can. but I'm not sure it quite works. But okay, I'm gonna go with this. So that's the edit. That's the before, and that's the after. Okay. So again, the side by side. I think 16 by 9 was the way to go. I can almost see a vertical crop too, but the angle is a little bit off. All right, let's go to the next one. But thank you, Paul. And let's see. Let's see. This is a fisheye lens. With no EXIF data, so I don't know if I can really correct this enough. Tiny bit. Okay. And I'm gonna look at a black and white. I feel like a black and white would work. Just because this water is so brown, it kind of bleeds into, or, is it's a little bit washed out because all of the wood here is brown. Then the water is brown. So I'm not getting the separation that I want. It's basically monotone already. But with this, I can separate just the tones. I don't have to worry about the color. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go with black and white. And the composition looks good. Maybe this crop that out a little bit, but we're okay. We'll tighten up the luminosity a little bit. And we'll just make it a little bit dramatic. Just a touch there. All right, let me fix this. I need to fix that bottom right. Just come in. All right, good. Okay, I think for the water, I might be able to just use a brush. Let's pull the opacity back up. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. That. Too much. Maybe this way, just a touch. Okay. That looks good. How about this side of the tree? And this side. Oh, too much. This might need a separate brush here. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. How about this one? Good. Okay, let's get a separate brush. This side needs to be a bit stronger with this. Okay, we're almost there. Go back to this one. This really needs a little bit more on this one. Okay. And then we have, let me do a little bit more to this bench. I don't have to be too precise, but I don't want to bleed over it that much. It just needs some contrast. And a slight pull here. Okay, let's do a little bit with the trees. I think the trees can use the same brush here. Let's see. Yeah, this brush is working. That's there. Okay. And then let's go in here and here. Just add some dabs of light here and there. A little bit more in here. this one. This brush. All right, make a new one. That's a little bit too dark here. That's good. All right, and I think I did the, okay, we're almost there. Let's try, I may have to do a brush, but let's try it with the control. Yeah, I want to work on these shadows a bit. Not exactly what I was trying to go for. Maybe if I pull the luma back a little bit. What if I do it this way? Mm. I'm just trying to exaggerate the shadows here. So we need to get off of the bench. All right, I think I'll call it there. Okay, so there's the before and after. Just a very, very slight crop. I think the composition is really good. Uh, but like I was saying earlier, this, for me to separate the, sort of this sort of tan and brown water in the color side would be difficult. But on the black and white, I just have to push the tones a little bit, and I think the separation is pretty good there. A little bit dark on this side and this side, but I guess that's okay. I really could just use a little bit of extra here. Just a little bit tighter on the luma, and a slight push. Something like that. But yeah, I think it looks better in black and white. I'm curious if I push it back to color, what would happen? Let's see. Oh, it looks okay in color too. But I think I prefer the black and white. It just feels more dramatic. So I'm gonna go with this. So there's the before and the after. And then some light barrel distortion. It could use a little more. I'd have to export it and apply the barrel distortion again to get it exactly right, but that's close enough. Okay. Uh okay, John, that looks good. Thanks, John, for or I'm sorry, this was from Paul Crisp. All right, let's see. I have a beautiful fall here scene. Look at this gate. I see P. Palumbo just became a member. Welcome. And thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Let's see. This is Sam John, this is yours. Okay. This one, I like the grass leading up to the tree. I don't like all this fence over here. So I think I will stick with a vertical. Let's see if I can get. Wow, that's way too much. Maybe just capture a little bit less tree, a little less wall, and more grass. Okay, I think that's a little better. Uh, so let's go, let's see if we can temper these highlights a bit. Yeah, something like that. A little clarity, maybe a little bit of micro contrast. And then let's pull the highlights in here a bit. Oh, not that much, just that. Okay. And then let's push the shadows a tiny bit back here. And some clear view contrast. All right. And then the trees, we need to, or I'm sorry, the leaves and the tree. I'm not sure exactly what to do here. I mean, I could go very, very gritty. Go a little bit softer. So what I'm thinking is, do I keep the wall back here nice and crispy and then soften up the rest of the area? Or just make everything crispy? Or can I separate things in black and white? Let me see. Not really. Yeah, the yellows and the green are not going to separate, I don't think. Yeah, it's not going to separate. So I'm going to stay with the color. Let's tighten up that mask a little bit. Then these greens, tighten that up. Trying to find, all right. Maybe, yeah, right about there. Then a touch, just a touch of light on the yellows. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll call it there. So yeah, just a crop to bring this fence and this wall, because it's really just way too much over here. So bringing down the highlights and minimizing the area of the photo, I think helps a lot. And now there's just sort of a, it's very, very subtle, the difference here. Maybe if I showed it this way. So there's there's the edit. This is the before. See the difference? All that stuff on the right side, I don't think was helping much. So I think this crop works well. And then bringing out the, I was trying to separate this wall and the leaves with contrast, meaning make this very soft, low contrast, and this very high contrast, but that didn't look too good, I don't think. So I decided to just go full on contrast across the board, then brighten up the yellows here and there, making sure that the light is coming in from here and then also hitting higher up. So I did a little bit of touch up here and then darken down in here. Okay. Oh, boy, that was a tough one. All right, let's see. Looks like the last one here, and then we'll get to your edits of my photo. Um, so Gert has sent in a castle or a really nice house. So we need to do a little perspective. Let's see if we can just auto and correct the horizon. Let me just zoom in and yeah, that looks good. That line. And this is already a 16 by 9 crop. Oh, it's a TIFF. Okay. Just trying to figure out how this is already cropped, because I know Nikon can crop in camera, but I didn't know Canon could. But now I see it's an exported image. So let's work with the sky. The sky is, I guess it's all right in terms of brightness. It just needs a little more contrast. So tighten up the luma mask a bit. Clear view and contrast, not too much. A couple of sensor spots. We need to fix. Okay. Just fix these sensor spots over here. Okay. And I'm wondering, no, we'll keep the colors there. I will go back here and let's just try and separate these reds and greens a bit, or they're really more oranges. Maybe a slight push this way, some clarity. A little bit extra here, down there, some over here, and then some vibrance on just, let's pick orange. Maybe a little bit brighter, yeah. Just a little more in here, okay. We're getting there. Maybe a touch right there. There's a touch there. A touch here. Okay, I need to fix the castle. I'll come back to this castle. Let's see where we need to be with these greens. Maybe I'm gonna separate. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah, this works. You just need a couple of dabs in here. And one down in that corner. And this corner. All right, that works. And there's some greens and yellows in here, but those are really hard to separate from these oranges. But I'm gonna try. Just a little bit here and there. Okay, that needs its own. Let's do that. And maybe right there. Can push these up a bit. And we'll push the greens a bit tighter. It's just not enough green in there. I slide this over. Okay. All right, let me fix this castle. It's bothering me. Down in here. I keep grabbing the wrong thing. I want to grab this and this. No, not that. A little less micro. Okay. Good. All right. So let me just see where I'm at. I think I'm about 90% there. Maybe just a little less here. There. The only other thing I can think of is maybe like in the sky here. I think if I try to do too much more, it's just not going to work. Let's see. Okay. And then for the crop, maybe just a tiny bit more. If I put the castle front and center and divide the sky and the landscape, I think that's a little better. All right, we're going to call it there. So really just need a little brightening and separation of the colors and tones. I would do more on the sky, but I didn't want to push them too much because it started to get a little bit noisy, and then I'd have to you know, it would just start to look a little too gritty. And but yeah, I thought bringing out the trees and the oranges looked better. Be nice if this wasn't covered by this one tree so much. If you could move over to the right a little bit more and get more of this, out of the cover of this one tree, I think it'd be a little nicer because it's just a little bit too hidden. So now it becomes more of a distraction in the scene um, than an addition, right? Because this scene right now primarily to me gives me a fall color kind of vibe. And then this building is just a distraction from that because it's being covered. So I would like to get this like another I would take this picture again without this building being hidden so much if you could. Um, but okay. Um, that's awesome. I think that came out pretty good. Oh, I didn't do a full screen. So there's the before, and then you can see it's a relatively flat. And oh, Gert says he did go to the right. Yeah, that would make more sense to me, right? You don't see these things sometimes until, you get back and start looking at your images like after the fact. You start looking at different ways to compose the same scene. So you and I kind of saw the same thing, I guess, right? But okay, awesome. I hope you like that edit. Thank you so much for sending these in. I really appreciate it. So the other part of the stream is where I give you my picture to edit that you can download and mess around with because it's only fair, right? So let me see if I can find my original. And yeah, there's the original. Okay, so this is the original image that I shot here. What, my Pen F and my 25 millimeter. Yeah. So this truck, this image actually is part of a pano. Uh, but when I did the pano, it didn't look good either. I may publish it later if you look on my Flickr. But I think with my edit, I decided to go with a black and white. We'll look at my edit last. Let's see what you guys did. So let's keep this as the reference image. And go over here. So this one is from Paul. And oh, that's interesting. You did looks like some lens blur and some really good I love the colors you did on that truck. You brought out the greens, which I'd have to look closer at this truck again. I mean, it's a couple hours away from me, but I like that. I like the greens and then this transition to the browns, which I didn't really see when I was editing because I went black and white, of course. But okay, very interesting. I like it. And then here's another one from Paul. Looks like some more AI sort of stuff, but instead of lens blur, we're doing fill in here, right? But these trees don't really match the trees over here. I guess it matches what this tree is. So interesting. This is very, very crispy. Okay, yeah, it does clean up the image because, yeah, this truck is very distracting. This building I don't mind so much, but this truck, as part of a panel, that truck would have been minimized and there'd be more context, but the way this is framed as is, yeah, this truck is very distracting, so I can see why you wanted to brush that out. And then here we have one here from Naturado. Really nice 16:9 crop. I like it. Because that truck is still there, but it's been completely cut out. So it's a nice fill to frame kind of crop, and the 16:9 works with minimal editing otherwise. Uh, looks like just a white balance shift maybe, or desaturation of the greens a little bit. But I think it's mostly a shift in white balance. That's great. That's a great edit. I like it. Um, I like how you just crop this truck out altogether because you wouldn't even know it's there or if that was a truck at all. Okay, and this one's from Jan. Did the same thing. Cropped out this truck and 16 by 9. Just a slightly different edit. Not too much of a shift on the white balance, but a little bit of contrast. And then pulling the highlights. That looks good though. All right, let's go to the next one here from Garrett. And Garrett really got rid of the greens in here. Made this truck very brown and rusty. And tiny bit of AI going on, but you kept this structure. So you just brushed out in here. Maybe it's not AI, maybe it's just a uh, replacement brush. That looks good. That's really good. I like how you guys are cropping out the truck and then fixing it somehow, one way or the other. Yeah, this is a good clean edit. I like this branch now that I'm looking at it, that this is in here and this tree. Yeah, this is a good edit. And the crop, I think the crop works. I like this better than the 16 by 9 actually. So, whoops. I just like seeing all the trees back here. I don't know why. And here's another 16 by 9 edit, but with a black and white. I like the black and white. And then a little bit of lens blur added to the background, a little bit in the foreground to, sort of soften the image and give it a little bit of, separate the truck a little more from the background. And then again, this looks like, yeah, just a little bit of healing brush going on in here, which is good because if you look close, you would see the truck, but if you just use the heal brush a little bit, it gets rid of it altogether. So I like it. I like this edit. I'm a little torn between these two. Let's see if there was one other one. Oops, I got notice. I need to get ready to go. Uh, yeah, I think that's everything. So you guys did a great job. I don't know where my edit went. Let me see. I don't know if it's like sitting here. Yeah, that was my edit. I think this might be a different part of the panel that I was planning. So this is not even the right edit. Like I said, it was part of a panel, so you can see I panned a little bit to the left, and then it's like a 3-shot panel. That didn't work out. All right, everyone. Let me see if you have any questions. Let me take a quick look at the chat. And uh, Gert says, I've always had trouble with light behind the trees. Thank you for editing my shot. Came out nicely. Oh, okay. Happy to do it. Thanks for sending it, Gert. Trying to see which one you sent in. Gosh, I'm not going to remember. Okay. Semjon says, I like your edit of my pick. Basically the opposite of what I did. I darkened the sides and made the gate the center with some light. I have it on my Flickr. Okay, I'll check it out. And Palumbo, new member, thank you so much for your support. Says this live stream is much better than pre-recorded tutorial available on YouTube. Most YouTube tutorials edit photos with perfect exposure and 10 or 12-bit depth. You do it with JPEGs and show how. Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever you guys send. I prefer to get RAWs, obviously, because I have some flexibility, but I get plenty of JPEGs in. at least 1 or 2 every week that, uh, I have to work with, and like I said, with JPEGs, it's easier to darken them and then brighten them back up if you wanna separate the tones, doing a global, darkening, right? And then bringing up the tones again, and try not to work with the individual sliders, highlight, shadows, and stuff, because then it just starts to look. Because like I said, JPEGs don't have that flexibility to work with the individual, tones, right? Highlight, shadow, midtones, so, again, because the dynamic range is so limited, so it's best to work with the more coarse sliders, like just exposure and contrast. And then, and then color, you really don't have much room. Uh, you have to pretty much work with the colors. You can always saturate them a little more or desaturate them, but you can't change them too much. If somebody gives you a JPEG with reds and greens, it's hard to change those to say, blue and yellow. I mean, to go to in the opposite direction, right? You're pretty much stuck with red and green, whereas with raw images, you can do a lot. You can adjust the white balance, you can adjust the individual colors. You don't have to push them too much, just tweak them a little, but with a JPEG, it's impossible. Anyway, I'm rambling. But thank you for your support, and let's see. And Paul says, I really like the black and white, had not considered doing that. Yeah, I think the black and whites that I did came out really well today. Um, I think of all the edits I did, I think this is my favorite one. Is this one? I like this one the most. Okay, in terms of editing, what I was able to do. And Robin says the original uncropped image of the rocks and trees and water seem to have the Japanese painting aesthetic to me, unbalanced balance. Interesting. I've not looked at Japanese art too much. I mean, I know some of the ones with the block painting type style, very minimalistic, because those just come up on every screensaver. But uh, what you're talking about is, let's see, I think it was this image, this one here. Um, so if we just reset this, yeah, it does have kind of a Japanese feel to it, right? I see where you're going. I'll have to study, I have to study art more in general, but Japanese art, that's interesting. Okay, and oh, the body cap lens. Okay. I noticed really bad CA on the left two-hand trees. Oh, okay. So I think it was this image. And yeah, since I converted to black and white, CA is not going to be is a non-issue. But yeah, it's a body cap lens. You're going to get CA. Let me see if I can spot it though. You're talking about probably in here. It's not too bad, really. It's mostly just kind of smudgy and soft. But going to black and white sort of solves a lot of problems I was having with this image in terms of color separation and working with the tones instead. But oh yeah, and this was supposed to be a critique. I missed the whole. I see it in your comments here. This is critique only. Well, I guess editing it is kind of a critique, right? Uh, because if we go back to the original, the blues are way too strong. This image is just way too the colors. So I don't know if you used a vivid profile or what camera was this? A G9. But yeah, the way I edit it would be the best critique. Just focus right in here. and ignore all of this. This is all of a distraction here on the right side. And then the colors were just too strong. So in my edit, you can see I kind of desaturated it and brought up some of the shadows. All right, that's it today. I'll probably be back Sunday for a normal photo chat. I got a photo job I got to get to. It's like about an hour drive. It's another residential. I don't do residentials very often, but it's a residential property. And that's why when I see images with any kind of architecture, I'm very critical about well, I talked about that. So thanks so much for sending your images in. I really appreciate it. Thanks for editing my image. It's always fun to see what you guys do with mine, you know. And I will be back this Sunday for a normal photo chat. And then next week, probably do a lot of shopping, right? Because it's going to be a lot of Black Friday stuff deals. And then also more photo editing, which I try to do on Fridays. So we'll see you guys again soon. You guys have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Trying to find the end stream button. Here it is, I think. There we go. Oh, Jan is asking, what is CA? Chromatic aberration. So okay, so let me explain this before I go. Chromatic aberration is, chromatic means color, right? Chroma means color. Aberration means defect, right? So you're talking about color defects. And chromatic aberration is like the purple lines, sometimes green lines, or haloing that you see around high contrast areas typically. That's the most common chromatic aberration. I don't have any good examples here right now, but that's typically what it is. Chromatic aberration is like the green and purple uh, haloing that you see around high contrast areas. And most software can correct for that, but you are losing a tiny bit of image quality or color information because of this defect in the lens. And so it's generally an undesirable effect. And it's usually purple, but sometimes you see green. I think that's probably relative. Well, it's not relative. It's a defect in the lens design, more or less, either intentional or not, right? So, okay, that's it. I found the end stream button. You guys have a